Yo, what's going on, guys? And today we're going to be talking about this report, or just kind of something that Sam Amick said on a podcast, the TK Show, regarding the Golden State Warriors and Jimmy Butler. Again, it's the offseason. This is just some breadcrumbs, maybe something to look out for. And it does make sense if the Warriors are trying to keep Curry's window open. So let's talk about it. He basically alluded to the fact that they probably talked about, the Warriors maybe called the Heat, and there's interest there from the Warriors side in Jimmy Butler. Now, before we continue today's video, I want to hear your thoughts down below in the comment section if you're a Warriors fan. Do you guys agree with this? Would you go after a guy like Jimmy Butler next offseason if the Heat do not give him an extension? As you guys know, he's somebody that's up in the air extension-wise. The Heat don't want to give him a max. He wants a max. I still don't think he's going to get a max. I think he's going to get closer to what Kawhi Leonard got, which was like 3 years, 150. Still a boatload of money. Now, let's just talk about it. What does this roster first off look like if you're the Golden State Warriors currently? Let's say if it was a sign and trade 3 years, because it has to be a minimum 3-year deal, $150 million. You'd assume that deal would have to include obviously the salary filler, but then I would assume that also we're hearing that Jonathan Kuminga and Moses Moody are nowhere near having their contracts basically extended, is the report. They're not close. The discussions have not gone well, and there's no significant progress being made. If that's also the case, the deadline is October 21st. We're 6 weeks out, and there's not much being done in terms of getting those deals over the finish line for them to happen. Let's say they do get an extension and they trade we'll give $25 million a year, 4-year deal, $100 million to Kuminga, maybe a 3-year, $27 million deal for Moses Moody, or 3-year 27, or 3-year 30 million, give him like 10, whatever you think he's worth. And you have those salaries available. Again, let's say in this situation, sign and trade, $50 million Jimmy Butler. Would you package Kuminga, Moody, and whoever else for Jimmy Butler? And if you're the Heat, do you do that deal? Because the thing I want to bring up right here is the team's salary cap currently, what it looks like. So next year, if we look at what they have on the books, Curry's on the books, Wiggins on the books, Green's on the books. So is Kyle Anderson, Buddy Hield. We assume they'll either bring Kuminga and Moody back on the qualifying offers if they're not extended. So that's 7 players right there. And then basically 10 guys, including B-Pod, Trace Jackson-Davis, and Guy Santos. You'd assume that they would want to keep Draymond Green, Curry with Butler. Unless you would want to send Green for Butler. Green goes to the Heat, and the Heat are like, we'd rather have him. Or Andrew Wiggins, and you keep Kuminga and you keep Moody. Because that's the other thing we're assuming, is that if they were to do a deal, it would be maybe something along those lines. Now, I think we should do what we all love to do so very much, and that is the Fanspo trade machine. So if we go over here, again, this is hypothetical. We'll do both trades, but I want to really say this hypothetical right here is if it's a sign and trade next off season. I really am curious. So he's making 48.7, which I think would be close to what they would give him here. So we don't really need to reset the numbers. But from a money assets wise, I think you wouldn't really need to include many picks if you give stuff that the Heat would be interested in. You could also, instead of him being a sign and trade, you could tell him accept that, then accept your player option, opt in, and then we'll trade you and we'll extend you later on. Because then that would allow him to either do the Draymond Green right here, Draymond Green, and you would assume at this point, let's just say, this is where it becomes. Do you think they would? I think they would put Kuminga in here. Let's just say sign a new contract and standard deal, 3-year length. I'd have to assume he wants like 20, 25, 20 million. We're just going to go with 21 million over the next few years. Just because I feel like any more money would be an insane amount. But if a simple deal like this could be done where you're sending out 45 million, worst comes to worst, they maybe ask for one more guy who could maybe be Guy Santos in this place, where you're just like, yeah, we'll just send him out just to do that. Would you even do a deal like this? This deal says that both teams, it's a very equal, where if you gave up Draymond Green, Guy Santos, and Jonathan Kuminga, I wouldn't even ask for picks if I'm the Heat. I'd be like, okay, we'd pair up, Bam and Draymond and Kuminga with Hero, Jaime Jaquez, and the rest of the guys. And while the Warriors, they get to put Butler. But at the same time, I think you pull out Green and Guy Santos, and then you do Wiggins. And I think the same deal could maybe go through, that they rather get Wiggins and Kuminga, because then they can run Jaquez, Hero, Wiggins, Kuminga, Bam, and they don't also have to deal with the aging of Draymond, because Draymond would be an old guy, and then you mix the old heads there. And I realistically think I think it's more realistic at this point for Jimmy Butler to end up on the Golden State Warriors than the Brooklyn Nets. From what I know, the whole Brooklyn Nets thing is fugazi. Don't believe it. It's not real. Incredibly unlikely. But that's where I want to hear your guys' thoughts. If you're a fan of either team, does this grind your gears? What do you want to see happen and why? It's just that time where anything really can happen. So just keep your eyes peeled, because I do believe the things that, with the aprons and everything, stuff can happen quick. A lot quicker than you're used to. But also these teams might just stronghold themselves because they have no way of improving, and they're scared that, if I do this, I won't get my return in my investment. And that's kind of the whole problem, is people don't want to take risks because they don't want to be panned for their risks failing, basically, is the best way I would put it. And I understand that, but if you're rich, if you're a person, you gotta get the cojones to take those said risks, to put yourself in a position to be great, to do things that you didn't think were possible. I don't know, that's just my 2 cents on the matter. But what do I know? Let me know your thoughts in the comments, guys. That's it for me. Peace out.